Good info there, Lindsay. Let's go more into that connection piece. Because as a parent, you may hear this and think, what am I supposed to do? I'm with you. I wonder what we're supposed to do. So back with us again tonight is psychiatrist, Dr. Jessie Gold. Dr. Gold, parents agonize over this. And I know, we had all the caveats there with Lindsay's piece. We'd rather have randomized trials and whatever. We don't have that luxury right now. What is the right age to give your child a cell phone?
The piece was really good because it is really complicated and the data is exactly like she said. Some is negative, some is positive, some is neutral. Even as a scientist or a psychiatrist, we look at that and we say, what do we do with this? I say take it with a grain of salt. So it's important to think about timing. It's important to think about screen use, particularly in the younger kids, but it's important to think about what they're doing on the screen as well and what they're doing in their time off, like was mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard someone say, I wish I knew who said it. They said, stop scrolling and start commenting. And I thought, my gosh, I maybe like something twice a day. I almost never comment on anything. It's never an engagement scenario. And I thought maybe social media could be social again. So is the problem social media? Is it the phone? How do you view that?
Again, I wish we had better data to tell you a good answer to this, but I think it has to do with how you interact on there and how it makes you feel. I always tell patients, if you're scrolling, how are you feeling when you're doing that? And is it affecting your concentration? Is it affecting your sleep? Are you scrolling and not hanging out with people because you'd rather scroll, right? Those are really important questions to be asking. I agree that there can be a social component that comes with being on social media, hence the name. In some groups, like people who have social anxiety at baseline, sometimes it's easier to interact via a screen and you can learn communication that way. It's just a different kind of communication. It shouldn't be your only source of communication,
Absolutely. As far as communicating with our kids, though, because, parenting is impossible to do perfectly. It's impossible to do it 51% well, I think. You just feel like a failure all the time, and you love them more than anything in the entire world. Yet, giving them a phone. I see some parents give them a phone, and it's like, get out of my hair. And I think, well, cartoons used to be that. But there is something different about them on YouTube, and I don't know what they're watching or who they're talking to. Is there a better way to equip our kids maybe to use the phones wisely? Because a lot of us irresponsibly use our own phones.
Absolutely. I think we should probably have risk-benefit conversations with phones just like we would with a medication, right? This is what you can do. This is what I want to be talking to you about. This is how long you should use it. I know my family, my sister has her kids put the phones to bed at night, and that seems to be really good, outside the room, nowhere near the room. And those are iPads, not just phones. And I think it's really important to think about what they are doing at night. Are they sleeping? Are they hanging out with other people by talking to them and not going to sleep and not doing their schoolwork? And so it can be really helpful to have those conversations non-judgmentally and really trying to support your kids, but telling them why you're doing that and not just saying, I'm taking it away because I'm taking it away and I said so, right? But instead saying this is what the data says. I want to work on this with you. I want you to use the phone for things you like, but I don't want to make it something that negatively impacts your mental health in the future.
And if you can have that conversation with them, presumably they're old enough to understand it, to where I'm thinking, okay, maybe the 10-year minimum or so. I don't know. But do you think, by the way, that tablets are the same? Because one thing is to be talking to God knows who and watching God knows what, and the other is to be popping bubbles, or in my house we watch Moana 10 times per weekend.
I think there are different reasons to use screens, right? There are educational things you can do on a screen. There are ways to limit what someone can use a screen for. I know that's really powerful in younger kids to use some of the educational games early on. Even school works on a screen. You can't take away screens completely, especially at a later age. So I think it is important to look at what they're doing and how that affects them and not just say screen or no screen, and treat this with a lot of nuance. And the data is not specific enough to be able to say at this age, no screens, at this age, that's when you start social media. It's just not. And so you have to treat it with nuance in your conversations and nuance in how you approach parenting, I think.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you right, Dr. Gold, if I remember being 16 and my mom said, you can drive, you don't need a phone. And now I cannot imagine doing that, but eventually I saved up and I got this Nokia, you snapped on that cheap little yellow thing, and now I have an ugly yellow phone again. But, that really was like, okay, we're entering the adult world. But if you give your child maybe a smartphone that's dumb, and they can call you if something's wrong, but they can't, go traipsing all over the world talking to whoever. Maybe at 10 years old, does that sound, maybe?
It sounds like that's a good start, at least to think about like only emergency calls, or if you really need to give them something. I don't know that there's a really good answer to that, to tell you like, this is how you be a good parent and get an A+, which is I think what you want me to tell you. But I wish I could.
Yes.
But I think you do the best you can. And if it has to be like graduating to adulthood and getting the keys is the same as getting a phone, and we have to treat it like that, even though they're more accessible, then it has to be a symbol of adulthood, and it should be treated like that, right?
Yes. And we all want our psychiatrist gold star. So, okay, we got to do our best, take our own best advice, and we're going to take yours too. Dr. Jessie Gold, as always, we love having you here. Thanks.
Gold stars for you always, Chance.
Still ahead.